What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy, Storyteller Jet, with another episode of the That's So Fire talk show. And today I have one of my favorite human being here on the show, Amanda Webster on the show. And we are going to be talking about collaborations, about affiliates, how you can make collaboration your superpower. Are you ready for this? Let's go, baby. Amanda, such a pleasure having you on the show today.
I am excited to be here. The studio is literally the best thing on earth. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, I was not joking when I told you yesterday when you were confirming that we're going to be doing the show that I was not going to be able to sleep because how excited I am to have you on the show today. It's going to be fantastic. And you are in for a treat today. Let's go. So let's start by doing a quick introduction of who Amanda Webster is, and then we'll dive into the show today. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
All
So,
right.
who is Amanda Webster?
I always like to start with what matters first. Who am I? I am a military spouse. I am a mother of 5. And then I also happen to be a pretty awesome, business builder, relationship builder, and have had a pretty awesome career from legal to financial, and now working with one of the best coaches in the real estate space.
And when you say the best coaches in the real estate, who are you referring to exactly?
Tiffany and Josh High, they are absolutely phenomenal. Not only coaches, they are phenomenal operators, but they're just really good humans. And I think that's the most important thing I was looking for in my next adventure, was working for somebody that I actually respect and want to work with and build with. And they are just phenomenal.
Fantastic. And go Rockets. Tiffany and Josh went to the same school as I am, which was awesome when I found that out. Josh actually played football for the Rockets. I think when I was with him in Nashville, when we were in Nashville, I was chatting with him a little bit. I think I was there when he was still playing over there, and
Wow.
never met him there. But it's kind of cool to kind of see that coming around. So
He loves
yeah,
that. He
yeah,
loves talking about his days in the football game. Just
yeah.
saying.
And I'm kind of jealous too. Like when we were in Nashville, he's showing me some of the new gears that the Rockets has sent him, like new shirts, like the newer things that they were coming. And I'm like, man, I wish I'd had some of these things too, which is awesome. But shout out to Tiffany and Josh, you guys rock. Cool. So one of the first question I typically one of the very first question I like to ask people is, what is their origin story? And I know you have a pretty fantastic one, so I would love to start chatting about that, because I truly believe those are the things that really shape people
Yeah.
to, like, accomplishing even greater things now. So let's start with that. So what is your
Yeah.
origin story?
I always tell people that you don't have to look at the growth points as negative. You should just look at them as they're not failures. And so I definitely have a sad version, right, of the family side of me. I was married previously, very abusive. I was married to a cop who was abusive, abused the kids, had to go through a whole legal system to get them away. Successfully did. But that in itself grew me as a person to understand the value of relationships and the value of identifying bad ones and good ones and all the things. But it also was a huge parental journey for me, learning how to, parent abused children, things like that. But then it led me on a path to understand what was important, which led me to my husband and led me to an amazing family that we've built from that. I have 5 kids. Like I said, it's crazy always, and I love it. I love organized chaos. But it like coincided with my career journey. I started in law, ran law firms, did all these amazing things. COVID happened. The world turned upside down. But it opened this amazing door for me. That law firm ended up not lasting, and found Fund and Grow, which everybody, probably knows me from originally, and got this amazing journey to be able to grow as a human, to be able to grow as an employee, and then eventually as a leader and lead that entire team, while Ari was able to just sit in that owner box and sit in that, seat and be able to take care of his stuff. He has a beautiful family as well. And so getting that whole journey and being able to build has been amazing. And also I have made the best relationships along the way. It has been fantastic. And some of my closest people that I talk to every day, I credit to my time at Fund and Grow 100%.
Yeah. And you are such a treat to hang out with too. And I was telling somebody the other day, obviously when we were in Nashville, we had some a lot of fun over here. But once you were driving back, when everybody were like, enjoying their time, going listening to music, partying, you and I wanted to go back to the hotel, and you gave me a ride back to the hotel. And just sitting there and just chatting with you for the 20-30 minutes
Yeah.
um, of that ride was such a breath of fresh air, like talking to you, listening to you, and like sharing some of the insight that you have, which we'll be touching on a few of those things today. But you're such a treat to hang out with. So
Thank you.
pretty fantastic. So and then yeah, by the way, Ari is going to be on the show tomorrow. So it's really good. I guess like you don't work with Fun and Grow anymore, but tomorrow we're gonna have Ari, and we're gonna be discussing some of the amazing way that he has helped other people fund their business
Yeah.
and grow their business as well. Some pretty interesting strategies that he's using to help them too, which is
It's
kind of
amazing.
it's
It's
pretty awesome.
fantastic to see all of the impact that they've done. I mean, they've been, I think it's almost 20 years that
Mhm.
that Fund and Grow's been around. So definitely excited to see what he has to say.
Yeah, and all the money that he has
Oh,
raised for
over
people too.
2 billion.
Yeah,
He hit the 2 billion mark. That's insane.
yeah, that's crazy. So now you were at Fun and Grow, and then you are now working with Tiffany and Josh,
Yes.
two of the, I guess I would say, biggest player in the real estate
Yeah.
investor world. So what exactly are you doing with them over there?
So I am the director of the partnership side. So looking at they're true operators still as well. So they have their Heels Homes, which is their investment company, which does over 200 deals a year. It's insane what that operation is done. And they're in the game every day. And then they have their education side. So my job is to align with partners that actually are there to help the community. It isn't about money. Money will come. I'm always an advocate of you have to figure out the why first and what does the community need. So that's one of the things that my major focus is what do they need to be successful and who is the best on the market for that? Not from a money perspective, from a quality perspective. What's their experience like and things like that. So I'm in charge of not only finding those, but truly developing really good, deep relationships with the people on that side and giving the best value to the community. So that's kind of my approach, and I'm always a impact and value position first for the community. So I'm developing that and helping them grow that. I mean, it is a phenomenal what they've already done, and I'm excited to see how we can make it even better. But I mean, they're making millions of dollars in these relationships because they're following the value first.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And this is going to be a huge part of the conversation today. So if you want to learn about how to build partnership, how to, make collaboration your superpower, I would say this is going to be a treat for you because she is working with some of the biggest name in the industry about creating, those affiliate partnerships and all this fun stuff. So we're going to dive a little bit onto this a little bit later. Um, and it's kind of going to be a like when you go see those doctors when you lay on the couch, what do you call them,
Psychiatrists?
psychiatrists or whatever. So this is going to be a moment like that for me where my brother is going to go get a couch, I'm going to sit, lay on there, and ask you, hey, I want to do more affiliates kind of stuff, what should I do? So it's going to be a therapy session for me as well. So
Okay. All right.
um but before we dive into that, and you talked about relationships before
Mhm.
and how there can be good relationship and there could be bad relationship. I would like to take a step back and talk a little bit about that because I know some of the journey that you've gone through
Mhm.
could be very helpful to some other people that might be going through the same thing
Yeah.
right now. So you are in law, and actually divorce law,
Mhm.
and you were going through divorce
Mhm.
and doing with all of that because the relationship was abusive.
Yes.
um my very first question for you, and there is different types of abuse,
Yeah.
obviously there is physical, there is verbal, there is all of that. um what are some of the signs that somebody can find to know that they are truly, obviously physical you would know, but
Yeah.
that you are in an abusive relationship?
I think it's really, for me, it's really clear now. Of course, I've went through this journey in therapy and all the things. I think it's a matter of being attuned to, is there mutual respect going on? Is there a mutual understanding of trust and things like that? I think when you start to see somebody who doesn't trust what you're doing, starts to belittle you, it starts to become almost toxic. Is it one sided? There's a lot of different pieces. I mean, every relationship's a little bit different. I truly believe all physical violence definitely starts from emotional violence, emotional manipulation, control. When someone's trying to control you, there's usually something further going in there. It's very hard to see it when you're in it, though. And so I think a lot of people miss the red flags of emotional sides. But if it's not truly healthy and beneficial to you, if it's not somebody who is able to see, who you are inside, if they start picking you apart from appearances, purposes, things like that, that's when it all starts. But I think it goes a lot deeper when gaslighting became kind of I hate that term now because it's used so bad, but when they're incapable of seeing the mistakes they're making and they try to always pin it and turn it around on you. And I think that's true in business. True, plenty of this happens in business the same way. So I think it's being aware of that. There's a lot of resources out there to find out, but I also think that unfortunately, even for myself, you don't really notice it till it becomes physical. And it's hard. And it's really hard when you have children involved and you go into that protection mode of those children. And I never thought he would turn on the kids. Like I definitely never dreamt of that. Getting out is the hardest thing, right? That's anytime you look at domestic violence, leaving the relationship is the most dangerous part.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard. It's hard to pinpoint the flags because they are a little bit different. But I think it's making sure that there's mutual respect, mutual trust, things like that. Once that starts breaking down, it tends to go in a different direction.
Yeah. So for somebody that is going through something like
Mhm.
this, what is the first thing that they need to do to get out of that relationship?
You need to plan. They call it safety planning, but you have to plan for the worst case scenario. So you want to, like for me, I moved out when he was away on a work thing. So I was able to get out without him being around because that's the most difficult. So planning that out. But I was in a resource for that point to help me. So I think the first step is every community has some type of domestic violence resource that's free, to be able to talk to somebody, to be able to find out what options you have out there. There's actually locally, there's moving companies that will move you for free if you're truly in a domestic violence situation. Um, Getting an attorney if you need to, things like that. So I think it was just safety planning, and I didn't do it perfectly. I definitely had some missteps and things like that. I think the hardest thing is because I was married, I couldn't get the kids away from him permanently. Like it just wasn't a thing. You can't do that. And I think it was just getting out of the house though before I served him with divorce papers and things like that. It's a very volatile situation. But I think document everything you possibly can and make sure you have a safety plan to exit without him or her. I shouldn't say just him, but for me it was him, without them knowing, because I think that's where the most egregious stuff happens right there.
Yeah, yeah. And I know for your situation too, it was kind of tough because you guys, I don't know if you shared custody, but we were talking about that
Hmm.
earlier where he had custody of the kids and
Yep.
then somebody ended up seeing the abuse happening. And that was one of the things that helped you
Yeah.
get custody. And that's been like, I don't know, since 2015,
Yep.
since he saw
Yep.
the kids. So talking about documenting specifically, what are some of the ways that you can ensure that you are documenting things without them knowing, and how can you build a case?
So I ended up journaling, and the journal I left at my office. So I was working at a law firm. So I would journal and leave everything at the office. So every morning I would come in and write things down so that I had a true, documentation of what was happening. But it's still my word against his at that moment. Um, Phones are a lot more sophisticated now. Security systems are a lot more sophisticated now, but there's still this a lot of rules about that, especially within the home. So I think that it was getting an attorney who understood. And I did not use the attorney I worked for because it was just it's too close, right? It's difficult. I needed somebody who was on the outside who could give me true advice and wouldn't have any, problems at work type of situation. So like anything else, like same thing with business, is documenting everything the best you can. It's still his word against my word type thing. But it did ultimately take somebody on the outside seeing it. And fortunately for me, it was a teacher who's a mandatory reporter who, I didn't have the kids because we were on a 50-50 week on, week off split. And so, because in our county, that's the normal thing that happens, which I don't disagree with in a normal situation. So I got fortunate enough to have somebody else see the aftermath of it and be able to get the right authorities in place. It was not easy. It's not, but documenting is probably the only saving grace you have.
Yeah. What is the biggest piece of advice that you would give to anybody going through a domestic abusing relationship situation?
You have to get out. At all costs, you have to get out, because unfortunately the statistics show that it doesn't ever usually go the right way. So don't stay longer, but do it in a safe way. Get the resources, get help. There's lots of it out there. Um, Unfortunately, with the court system, you do have to fight and things like that, but document everything. It's not perfect, but it is not worth you staying, thinking if you stay, you can protect it easier. I did that for a while. It wasn't true.
Yeah. What would you say was your biggest lesson that you've learned through going that through that abusive
Mm.
relationship?
I think it's identifying what relationships are good and bad, and assessing it at all times. And, you know, I always say, people, like, blood does not mean you can just do whatever you want. Just because someone's a family member doesn't mean you have to accept their behavior, right? So I think I learned that just because he was my husband didn't mean that he could get away with all of these things. And so I started assessing relationships very different. Were they mutual? Were they respectful? Did they, suit my lifestyle and what I believe in to my core, attracting the right people? And so that was kind of how I transitioned in my entire life, was, are these people ones I want in my life? And so I'm very fortunate. I have great family, so I've never had to, like, cut off a family member, but I've also talked to people who've had, because sometimes it's needed. And I learned that, and even transitioning into business, same thing, is you can't be in business relationships with one-sided people. There has to be mutual respect, mutual, gain for both people. There has to be something that you're both gaining, whether it's monetary or impact or influence. It doesn't matter what it is. It has to be mutual. Otherwise, it becomes toxic. You build resentment. It just becomes not a good situation. So I think that's the biggest thing I learned from all of that, is how to assess the right relationships and not to be afraid to let go of the bad ones.
Absolutely. So after you got full custody of
Mhm.
your kids, obviously there are a lot of big aftermath things that you had to deal
Yeah.
with, such as the way that you now parent them
Yeah.
versus like the way that you were doing before. What are some of the things that you've learned um, about parenting a kid that went through domestic
Yeah.
abuse?
I think it's any trauma, right? I think all of us probably can admit we've had trauma in our childhood, whether it was big trauma, little trauma, perceived trauma, whatever. I think it's understanding what triggers people, what makes them tick, what's going to cause them to get anxiety, things like that. So I had to learn how to identify, which, again, had to go through counseling. But the aftermath was actually the fun part. L- Finding myself again, building my confidence back up, being able to truly, I actually, in that transition, became a better leader at the law firm. I was able to help my clients more because I started to identify, like, what makes you tick. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to make you tick. I don't want to give you anxiety. I want you to be happy and feel, free and trust everybody. And so that's why, like, I think you learned in Nashville, I don't drink for the most part. Like, it's very rare that I will have a drink. I don't, I feel like that causes me to not be my true self. And so I identified that and changed that in my life. And so I think it's learning those pieces of people, both professional and personal, that have helped me parent my kids differently, understanding what things upset them within reason, because kids can manipulate the situation even after, trauma, but being able to identify it and very open dialogue once they reach a certain age. My daughter and I definitely went through some things, and being able to have her, she's older now, and be able to show her what really happened, because sometimes in trauma you fill gaps that you don't know. And so being able to truly understand like that situation for her, how it felt for her, and coming from a place of love and understanding. But it was tricky. And then having new kids and having to parent them and be like, because I'm definitely the parent's like, no, don't do that, you know? And so learning how to make sure that I am balancing that with the younger kids and making sure the older kids are still, it's just, it's like anything else. Same thing with employees. Employees all have things going on at home. And if you truly invest in people and understand where are they coming from, maybe they're late to work every day because of something deeper. Find out what that is. Maybe it's just because they're a bad employee. But if you don't take the time to actually figure it out, figure out what's going on. Maybe they have, you know, a sick, you know, mother at home that they're taking care of and the mornings are rough. Do you have the ability to adjust and be able to give them some flexibility? Okay, you know what? Come in at 10 and work till 6, you know, whatever it may be, if you have that ability. But I think it's the same thing with employees, understanding why they're doing what they're doing, why they're behaving the way they're behaving. At the end of the day, if they're behaving that way because they're just not really caring about the job, then you let them go. But if it's because of something deeper, we're humans. Treat us like humans.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, you know, a lot of people don't understand their employees. They just think, "Oh, well, they're taking long lunch because they don't respect me." No, it may be because they're having some issues at home.
Yeah. Since you're talking about that, I guess one of the we're going completely out of the left field right now, but this is something that you recently posted, and since you're talking about employees specifically, wanted to ask you about that. So, what do you believe is the biggest hiring red flags?
Oh, I know what post you're talking about. That was this week. So I think that some people don't understand the difference between excitement and desperation. And so making sure you're truly understanding, is this person the right fit for your company and the position, right? There's two different assessments that I do when I'm hiring people. Are they a good culture company fit? Because that has to come first. I can train almost anything else into them. Obviously, you can't train them into being a doctor if they don't have the skill. But my point being is you can train everything else. So are they a company culture fit? Great. Are they a fit for the role you specifically have? Doing things like a PI assessment, right? Doing something that actually understand, are they going to be successful in that role? But a lot of times they're coming in, especially when the job market, and they act very excited. They act very, you know, in tune with what you're saying, and but they're just yesing you. And that desperation is because they just need a job. They just need to be able to pay the bills. And so they're acting this way, and you're perceiving it a different way. So making sure that you are truly like kind of checking yourself and asking the right questions, making sure it's the right fit. Because long term, one of the biggest things you can have a turnover cost is really high. So just trying to figure that out on the front side.
Awesome. So we're going back to the conversation that we were
Yeah.
having, but um, you talked about good relationship and bad relationship, and obviously, it's kind of crazy how experiences kind of shape what we do
Yeah.
in the future. So, how do you assess good relationship from bad relationships?
So I'll use the example of where I'm at now, in looking at the results driven community and exactly what is going out there is this person trying to partner and build a relationship because they just want access to this community and they're not actually doing it for the right reasons? Are they coming in? Are they adding value? Or do they truly care about the experience the students are getting from whatever they're offering, right? And if they're not, then you have to be willing to let it go. You have to be willing, or call them out on it and try to fix it. It has to be, again, you can't chase the dollar. You have to be able to come from impact. Are they educating the community? Are they actually bringing value to the community? And so that when I'm assessing a partnership, that's how I look at it: is what's the full, picture of this? And are they here for the right reasons? Do they actually care? What's the experience that the student is having when they go over to that company? Because all of that looks back on us. All of it looks back on, why did they refer me to that person? And you don't want that. You want to take ownership of like the fact that it's going to be a great experience, it's going to be a great handoff, they're going to be taken care of. You don't want that call or those calls from students saying, "Why did you refer me to these people? They absolutely do nothing for me." Or, "I lost all of this money." That looks bad on you. So you have to be willing to look above the money. Look above the potential revenue you can get from this partnership. Is it going to align with who you are and who your company is?
Absolutely. So for me, I'm like at my early stages of developing affiliates,
Mhm.
and actually creating some really good collaboration. I truly believe in collaborations, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that stuck with me was attending the first Coaching Inc. Mastermind. Shout out to Tom Kroll. Let's go. Um, but one of the presentation at that time was made by Matt Andrews, who is the running Family
Mhm.
Mastermind. And the presentation was around collaborations. It says like the best collaborators win. And one other thing that he said that really stuck with me was you need to figure out who your momentum takers are, your
Mhm.
momentum makers, and your momentum breakers. So focusing on building relationship with the momentum makers
Yeah.
and grow from that. Absolutely love that presentation. So for anybody that is considering delving into the affiliate or collaborations world,
Yeah.
what are some of the things that they should be in the lookout for?
Well, first and foremost, making sure you're in the right circles. Before I worked at Fund and Grow, I'd never been to a mastermind. I met Matt Andrews through that journey. I met Tom Kroll through that journey. I met you through that journey. And so being in the right space for what matters to whatever you're trying to brand, whatever you're trying to sell, and making sure that you are talking to people ahead of time, taking true feedback. Don't be afraid to ask the questions to your competitor, right? Because it shouldn't be that. It's collaboration. And so I've talked to plenty of people that are my quote unquote competitors, but it's from a matter of trying to figure out what's working in the market. What are you seeing? Who should I stay away from? And being able to get advice. So I think it's before you go out and build pretty websites, and Tom Kroll preaches this all the time, right? You don't need to worry about all those things. Find the solid offer of what the market needs, then build relationships. And I mean actual relationships. Build friendships. Find out about these people's lives and what they're willing to share. Actually understand them as a person and what they're doing. Stop making the conversation about my offer, what I want to bring to the community. Make it about what is going on for you. What are you doing? How is your community set up? Everyone's different. How is your program set up? How do you work with people? How do what can I do to serve you? If you stop making it about you and about them, and listen, you're going to figure out very quickly who are the people that you need to talk to the most. Who do you stay away from? What's actually needed, right? A lot of people are building offers and the market doesn't even need that offer or it's too saturated. So I think it truly is about people. Developing people, investing in people first will always end up getting you on that path where you need to be. And caring, like actually giving a crap. I mean, don't just make relationships because it sounds cool. Make them because you care. I talk to people all the time that I meet in these groups. I'm not even trying to collaborate with them necessarily. I'm just trying to find out what's going on. Is there anything you need help with? Is there anyone I can connect you with? I absolutely love to make connections with people. I don't make any money off that, but it feeds my soul. It feeds who I am as a person. I recently, and they shared it publicly, so I'll say it. Jen and Joe Delafave, who I absolutely adore,
They're fantastic
they're
people.
amazing, creative finance space. They were looking for a high level executive assistant, like someone who could really come in, transform their business. I happen to know someone that I thought was fantastic fit. It worked out. That person now works for them. Everybody's winning. And I'm over here like you would have thought I got paid from that because I am super overjoyed for that connection and for them to both be able to win. And I think that's the difference. And if you don't have that ability innate you, like in you, if that's not really in you, you're probably not going to do really well in the affiliate relationship space.
Yeah. One of the biggest lessons that I have learned, and I probably have shared this so many times. So if anybody tuning in here, they probably have heard me say that before. But growing up, I went to a Catholic school back in Haiti, and every single Monday when they were doing their address the crowd, address the student um, kind of thing, one of the things that the principal would say all the time is to give without expecting anything in return.
Absolutely.
So that has kind of really stuck with me and truly has been, it's funny because that has come back
Hmm.
and, paid for itself tenfold. Um, I think this is probably one of the biggest thing that people make. They are one sided. They
Yep.
just kind of want to build that relationship just so they can get and get and
Yeah.
get without like really giving first. Um, so I'm. It's so awesome to hear you kind of say that, and even sharing that story, helping Joe in. I can never put Dillafave.
De La Fave.
Dillafave.
We'll go with that.
This is probably why it's probably like the fave of a lot of people, like favorite people. But you sharing that you give so much to them that's gonna be impacting their business.
Yeah.
At the First Coaching Inc, I've known them before, but at the First Coaching Inc was the very first time I met them and sit down and had lunch with them and loved their story
Hmm.
and got to hang out with their kids too at that event. So pretty awesome. So as a recent post that you had also was talking about the partnership audit.
Yes.
What is the partnership audit, and how can you make that audit to make sure that you are entering into the right relationship with people?
So I feel like this should be annual, by the way. You should do this every year because relationships change. Offers change, community needs change, whatever it may be. You need to be able to look and see and always have data. When you're doing partnerships, even though it should not be transactional, when you are doing partnerships that are leading to transactions, you need to track everything. You need to be able to understand how you can either, give them more, how you can improve things on your side to make sure what they're giving you is quality and you're keeping up your end of the bargain. But it's looking at what partnerships no longer align. We both know there are plenty of businesses that get bought, sold, merge, all the things. These things change relationships. And so sometimes for the better and sometimes not so much. So you need to be able to audit and understand which ones are no longer serving the community, which ones are just not needed. Which ones did you get the most complaints about because maybe their fulfillment isn't really that great? You need to be looking at it because, again, it all comes back to you. So you need to make sure you're understanding which ones are maintaining really healthy relationships with you and which ones aren't. And it's not necessarily like it doesn't work out between us. It's not a big deal. It's not personal. It's just not right for my community anymore. And then other times it can be great. You can be like, oh my gosh, I misstepped. I didn't promote you at all. And I actually did this as truly what happened and realizing, oh my gosh, well, the reason these numbers are unbalanced is because I promoted this partner and their offer way more than this other similar offer. So it can also be a reflection on you, and you have to be able to own that and figure out, okay, how can I do better? How can I plan for next year's partnerships to have the best presence and the best ability to serve, the community and the people that we serve? And so I think it's important. I think it's important personally. I mean, you should be auditing what you're spending money on. I mean, look, and we all have these subscriptions that we're paying lots of money for, but auditing and making sure that everything that you're doing and spending money on is the right thing. I do planning. I love to plan vacations. It's probably my other hobby. Even if I
Yeah,
don't go on them, just so
yeah.
we're clear.
I know you have a big one coming up with the cruise.
Dude, it's so exciting. It's still
Yeah.
over a year away, but because my husband's deploying next year, so he won't be home. So we planned a very large cruise. His family, like his sisters are coming, everything. It's gonna be fantastic. But I love to figure out what am I gonna do this year? How am I gonna meet that goal? So it's kind of the same thing in the partnership world is how am I going to meet the goals that I've set out to be, whatever they are.
Yeah. Why is it so important to make sure that you set up affiliates or collaborations or partnership with other businesses that are outside of your sphere?
So there's people in our circles that do this. It's very difficult to be a master at everything, right? It's nobody can really do this. So what you do is you figure out what are you really great at. Focus on that, double down on that, and be amazing at that thing, whatever that circle is. And then no matter what business you're in, there's always going to be these other things that you need. Your business needs, your employees needs, your community needs, whatever it may be. So then you find who's the best person to partner with me on that thing. And sometimes it's one-sided and it's okay. There's plenty of partners we have that because of the way they're set up, they can't necessarily give us reciprocity, but we're okay with it because they're providing this amazing service that we can't do. And owning that and understanding that is super important. And why would you want to reinvent the wheel? Like, I mean, listen, when there's a reason why ClickFunnels is what it is, right? It's an amazing service. So why would you want to recreate that and figure out how to build it and code it from scratch if you don't need to? It depends on your business. Some people need to, but that's what I think is focusing on what are you amazing at It's almost like delegation, right? Focusing on that and then bringing in experts in all of the other areas.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. So, what are the one, two, three of setting up the like a affiliate partnership?
So, first is identifying what do you actually need, right? And who is the best on the market for that thing. Number two is actually solidifying it and putting it in writing what that relationship's going to look like. It is I come from legal, but I'm not going to you have to have a contract. You have to have an agreement that says who's responsible for what, who's accountable for what is it the pay structure going to look. You don't want to just go into this willy-nilly. Tom Kroll's going to disagree with me on this, but I truly believe you have to have it. And it can be simple, but you have to have a contract. And then execution. You need to make sure that whatever you said you were going to deliver on, you actually deliver on because you can only control what you can control. And then they're expected the same way. But again, that's where the audit comes in. If they're not keeping up their end of the bargain, you can always, exit the agreement. But I think that's the most important, like, transactional structure you have to figure out. I think before you even get there, though, you have to have the relationship. You can't just call up someone and be like, hey, you want to send me some leads? It doesn't work like that. You need to actually have a connection and relationship first.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest misconception that people have about creating affiliates partnerships?
That they always have to provide reciprocity. It's not true. And also, reciprocity can look like something else, right? Just because you don't have a big list or you don't have a big following doesn't mean you can't offer something, right? I don't have a list. I have a decent following. I don't have a list personally, like when I'm talking to people about my personal stuff, but I can offer education. I can offer to come do a show, right? I can offer to do different things. So you don't have to have reciprocity. It's nice, but there are people willing to work with you that don't require it, right? Lee Arnold is my one of my biggest fans. He loves reciprocity, but you don't. If you have a really solid offer for his circle, he's okay with it not being. And then also that they just think it's transactional, and that's where it all fails. And they think it's you set it up. You as long as you send the leads, it's all that matters. It's just not true. People want connection. We are humans. They want connections. They want relationships. They want to talk to you. So if you make it transactional, it's going to fail 100% of the time.
Yeah. One of the biggest thing that I've learned actually from the coaching community, I've kind of heard in passing a little bit about it, but starting really to consider that more through the coaching community is affiliate lunches.
Yes.
Um, what is an affiliate lunch, and why should someone want to be doing something like that as it relates to affiliate launches?
So I look at them in two different ways. There's two different types of launches. There's the launch where you are launching a new service, a new bundle, a new something, and you want all of your partners to join in and promote it at the same time. That's a true collaborative launch. And the reason you want that is because you're usually trying to jumpstart into the offering and you're trying to also stress test what your service, like getting everything in there. And it's going to be the best response you ever have is the first time you hit everyone's lists and followings, right? The other type of launch that I think is super important as well, because you can't always get a bunch of people on at the same time, is just having a launch strategy to be able to start the relationship in the right position and being able to make sure that you are, like for me, it would be, okay, I'm going to launch this new service. I want to make sure of all the assets I have, I coordinate that everything's launching in a segmented way so that I'm getting the most exposure, I'm getting it out to everybody, and I'm making sure that this is going to be the best it can ever be because it will never be better than that first time. The first time you hit someone's list, the first time you promote it on your socials, if you're a big influencer, it's going to be the best that first time. The conversions, all the things will be the best the first time, in my opinion. But I also think it's true, the same thing of like, once you launch, you need to have a strategy to keep going. You can't just launch and be done. You have to keep the strategy moving to be able to keep the momentum because like in sales, it takes 6 to 12 touch points to convert someone depending if it's product or service. It's the same thing with an affiliate. They have to build trust. They have to understand trust doesn't always transfer from one post or one email or whatever. So they might need to see it several times. And so it's super important to continue and have that building, but also checking in on the service as it's happening, making sure everything is exactly what you thought it would be. And then testimonials are also key for the second part of the launch is how did it go with that student and finding out from them and being able to showcase that to the community that, hey, These leads were the best leads they ever saw. They converted the most deals with these leads. So you should want to do it too. It's a marketing play, but at the same time, it's showing the trust. And so, that's two different launches in my opinion. The collaborative multi-launch is a lot harder to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is kind of me sitting on my chair right now, laying down and kind of asking you a question. So if you were in my shoes,
Mhm.
I have the studio, I have, courses, we film courses for people, we film funnel videos, and we film social media content for people. If you were in my shoes wanting to delve into affiliates
Mhm.
and doing all of that, how would you approach that?
So the first thing I think people have to understand is you can't affiliate directly to a $10,000 offer or $5,000 offer, right? So you have to figure out what is going to be a quality service or a quality lead in that you can provide for a, smaller 3-digit price, a 197, a 497, whatever it is, a course, whatever. Building an ascension model with it though. Building where, okay, if I come into your funnel and because I was sent over from Tiffany High, she sent me over to this to learn about how to, brand yourself, for reels or what, I don't know exactly all the courses. You have way too much knowledge for me to keep track of. So, but it all should lead to a strategy session recording full 2 day thing here in Tampa, right? Clearwater, wherever we're at today. And so you need to be able to offer something that's going to attract a lot of people. The money's not going to be huge, right? The traditional way, if it's a lower ticket offer, it's a 50-50 split. It's a higher ticket offer, it goes anywhere from 10 to 30%, right? For your affiliate commission side. But you have to find a way to bring in something that's super easy to get them into and then ascend them through your pipeline, keeping attribution so that your affiliate is getting credit all the way up the ladder so that they can see the lifetime value of their referral. So I think that's what a lot of people miss. They think, oh, I'm just going to do this 497 model and that's what I affiliate on and that's it. It's not going to make enough waves to do that. But making sure that you're providing quality education, service, whatever it is, product, it works the same way, but being able to ascend and truly offer, because what they want to get to is this. They want to get to the studio. They want to do the photo session. They want to record all their content. They want to be seen, as an influencer and become a trusted brand. How do you get them there? Well, the first step is getting them to know who you are.
Yeah.
And just if you want to affiliate with that, making it where the affiliate can go, well, listen, our front end offers a $27 amazing 4-week course. It's so over delivered, but it's super easy to get everyone to say yes to affiliate that because it's $27. But then they're like, but wait a second, what am I making off that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how do I show that value? Oh, well, okay, this ascends into this, which ascends into this, which ascends into this. It becomes a high ticket offer and everybody wins.
Yeah.
So I think that's where sometimes they're not understanding that. And that's what I would do. You got to start somewhere though. So figure out the easiest, most valuable course education that you can give them, but then eventually lead them into coming into the studio.
Yeah, absolutely. Drop the mic over here. Thank you for sharing that. I guess for me too, and you kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, is one of the biggest misconception that I had, even thinking about like, how can I partner with some other people, affiliates or
Yeah.
whatever, like that we need to come up with something that we do together.
Yes.
Like I have to have that video product and they have to have something else where we can kind of do a lunch together or something like that. So um what are your thoughts on that? I guess that's a misconception
Yeah.
that I have, and why is that the misconception? I guess I'm not asking the question correctly,
It's
but
okay.
yeah.
I think it's because again, everybody thinks, well, they're never gonna affiliate with me or work with me if I can't give them something else. So I think that you have to just rephrase that thought in your brain of, but what you're giving this amazing education or this amazing opportunity to the people that they know, like, and trust and that they work with. And so I think that you have to understand that it isn't always about you going in as a joint venturing everything together, right? However, yeah, it's great if you can. It's not a bad thing if you can do it. It's just, it doesn't have to be that. I think a lot of people just overthink it. Is if you find the right person with the right audience and they know, hey, my audience really needs this, it's gonna be a great relationship either way.
Yeah. How do you find the right affiliate partners?
I go with alignment first. alignment to me, alignment to the brand, alignment to the owners of the brand, whatever, whatever situation is, alignment to the community and the people you serve. If you start with alignment, I think everything else follows. Of course, what does your community need is that second thing, but like you have to have all of these things aligned together to make sure that everybody's winning, everybody is, there for the right reasons. And so I think that's how I always look at it when I'm currently assessing several different options in one kind of area for us. And, there's been a couple that they just don't align with what our brand is. But then there's somebody else who does, but they're like really expensive. So it's hard to figure out in that balance. But I also think just talk to everybody. What's the worst that can happen? Just talk to everybody, find out what everybody's offers are. If I can't work with somebody, it's okay. Because you know what? Next month, I might meet somebody who's like, oh, I really need this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I talked to this person last month. They would be fantastic for that. Let me connect you to. Happens all the time. And so you can't always look at it as a waste of time just to find out. I like to know what everyone's doing, what everyone's offers are, what are they looking for, what do they need? Because then I know at some point it's going to come back. I have a really great memory, so it's very helpful for me, but I do write notes too. But I think that it's super helpful to connect, and you never know where the money, like you may not make money off of this person, but then they might know somebody who then connects you, and now you're making money, and now you're making this great impact. You can't just look at it singular.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you were somebody new that
Mhm.
never was like exposed to anything like that
Yeah.
as it relates to the affiliate words world, um, how can they identify the right person to reach out to make sure that they are a good affiliate to make sure that they are good affiliates for their business?
So the way I do it, the way I've learned how to do it is my investigator skills come in. I find out who are they working with, who have they worked with in the past, who are they currently working with, and I just go ask. I say, hey, listen, I'm trying to do one of my biggest lessons I've ever learned in life is not doing enough due diligence on something. And so find out, ask the people that's actually using them and worked with them. Ask the people who mentor the people that work with them, right? I am never afraid to pick up the phone and call someone like Matt Andrews and Tom Kroll, Steve Richardson. It doesn't matter. Like I am going to ask the questions because what's the worst that can happen? They tell me I'm not comfortable talking to you, that's going to give me enough answers. If they're not willing to tell me about their experience with that person, probably not the right one, right? So you have to ask, you have to be willing to be vulnerable in that situation, but there's no other way. You can also test if you have a good testing environment, then you can test as well. One of the things that we do is, Josh and Tiff do have an investing arm. So we can test a lot of offers on that side. So I have that. Not a lot of people have that ability. So if you can test it with a very small segment, see if it works. If it does, then you can amplify it from there. But I think that, asking people that you already know and trust is the easiest way because everybody in this game knows about everybody.
Yeah. What is the biggest mistake that you see people making as it relates to building affiliates with other people?
Just not focus on the relationship. Like not actually finding out deep information about what's going on in that business, to a certain extent, but I think that and then they develop it and they forget, right? One of the things I love about Coaching Inc. I know we've used that multiple times. It's amazing.
Shout out to Tom.
It's amazing. You should check it out. But is that, you have to he has the 40 people list, right? You got to always be checking in with these people. Like, not every day, not every week necessarily, but you're not that busy that you can't do this. So focusing on true relationships, because I can tell you right now, I am more willing to forgive somebody for a misstep if I have a really good relationship than if it's just a transactional, situation. So I think that's again always my play, always my, thing. I fight with Tom about he says revenue in first position. I say relationships in first position. That's what I think brings the revenue. And so I just think that's what they don't focus on that. The people, the human aspect of it, the connection, that's what matters, right? If you don't focus on that, then it's just transactions and eventually it's going to either fizzle or not work.
Yeah. So you are working with Tiffany and Josh
Mhm.
right now, and you are their director of partnership. And you shared some staggering numbers that they've paid out to affiliates earlier today, and you are super confident that you are going to double, triple that.
Yeah.
Um, so my question for you: what are some of the really great ways that you guys are using partnership to obviously, like, grow your business?
So one of the things that I actually was working on this week is how do I get the most exposure, the most impact for all of the people that have really showed up for Josh and Tiff and the results driven community. And also looking at one of the things I think people will do, especially in this community coaching space, is they'll have 15 options for one like category. And I think that's a mistake because as when you're a student and you're learning, you want to be told what to do most of the time, right? You want to be told, no, this is what I did and this is what works and this is what you should do, right? That's how you normally educate. But I also think you should have at least another option because the idea that everybody can please everybody all the time, not reality. So I like the idea of having a couple, like two in each category. And that being able to do that allows you to be able to be very authentic with that relationship. It allows you to really dive in and drive the people to those. And again, the nice thing is if you need to be able to truly say that this was an amazing experience that you even had. If you're the educator, if you're the owner, if you're the person, you need to be able to say you had this great experience. One of the things that Fund and Grow used to always say is if you want to be an affiliate, you should go through the program. You should go through and see exactly how it works, exactly how the team works, exactly the experience you're going to have, because I believe that's the best way to get their buy-in. And at the same time, I'm giving them a great service. I was giving them, business credit. It was amazing. And at the end of the day, they became huge advocates because of it. So I think that if you're able to actually show how amazing they are, but it has to be consistent as well. And so having a strategy, even though again, I hate that these things do become transactional to a certain extent, but having a strategy, okay, I have this affiliate, I'm going to make sure that I am exposing them to our community, our list, our whole thing X amount of times a year, and I'm going to kind of place it where it kind of is consistent. And that way, there's always lead flow, there's always things happening, and it's a way to drive multiple things. But if you have 15 options, you can never compound the result. You can never truly say, hey, this is the best option for you, because then you're kind of cannibalizing the other people. So you need to truly be strategic in who you're picking. Don't have a bunch of options, have a couple. Some people only have one, and that's not a bad decision. Like I think Pace usually only has one affiliate in each thing that he does for sub two. Him and I have had that conversation. It's like, it can be great because then they're only going to go there. But I do believe you should have a second option in case it doesn't work for them, or maybe you need a lower cost option
Yeah.
for someone on an earlier stage. So
Yeah. So at Result Driven, what are some of the affiliates that you are looking for or that you would like to work with?
So one of the biggest ones, I think I might have landed at least one option so far, was a bookkeeping service. Somebody that could just be a very good quality bookkeeping service, but not all the higher bells and whistles. Just make sure my books are accurate and my transactions are logged, and make sure I'm getting my basic P&L and cash flow statements every month, and make sure it's easy for my accountant to pick up and do my taxes, right? So finding a nice solution for that, them being real estate specific is nice too. Project management software has been a really weird one because there's just so many out there. They're not always real estate specific, and they have their own little quirks. It's the fun in the software SaaS world is there's always like, oh, this one does really good at this, but then they suck at this. And it just becomes like this, what's the best of all the worlds? Always looking for great lead sources, right? For real estate investors, that's one of the things that I'm willing to have more than two options because they need lead flow. They need to have quality leads. It's hard. It might be it at the moment. I was fortunate to come into this role with them already having an amazing stack of relationships. Some of people I didn't even know. So now I'm building relationships with those people from scratch. So, but I will definitely, if you follow me on social media, I'm always putting it out there. I'm always very open on what's going on and my opinion on things.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you have a lot of decision to make as you kind of evaluating
Yeah.
all those different people that you would consider to become affiliates to Result Driven.
Yeah.
One of the things that you posted recently is about the 10-minute decision making technique.
Yeah.
What is your 10-minute decision making technique?
So, one of the things, I think this will shock some people. I'll give you a little context. I learned this probably like 10, 15 years ago, is that most people with the highest IQ are actually attorneys because they have to be able to think like this when they're in the courtroom, right? They make decisions. And so it got me thinking, this is something I've done for a while, is if it's small decisions, if it's not going to affect you 2 years from now, why are you spending so much time trying to make this decision? Like, make the decision that you feel is best at that moment. What's the worst that can happen? It fails? No, you learn a lesson. You learn something, you grow. And so I think it is much better to just make decisions quickly to move everything forward, especially when you're running a business or running anything in life. If you just make decisions and move it forward, eventually you're going to start making all the right decisions, right? So in the beginning, you might make some bad ones. But again, if you look at them as lessons, then you're good. Don't keep making the same ones over and over again. Then just a problem. But I think that's kind of my philosophy is why am I spending so much time not making the decision? Because guess what? Not making the decision is making a decision. It's just making a really bad one. And so that's kind of how I've done that. I did that, like I said, in the law firms. It was kind of one of my things of like, hey, listen, it might not always be the right decision, but at least we're moving the case along. At least we're getting things moving. And that's just kind of how I've carried it forward. Same thing in life and parenting and anything I do. I'm not perfect. I'm going to make decisions that I probably shouldn't have made that one. Hey, that outfit probably not the best one to wear that day. So, those kind of things. But in reality, did it matter 5 years from now? Did it matter when you had your loved one on the deathbed? No, it doesn't matter. Most of these decisions don't really matter.
I absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Um, so as we are nearing the end of the talk show, it's been fantastic 56 minutes so far. It's been incredible. All the things that you shared, obviously, me personally, I'm going to be taking them and implement them in my business as well. So it's been such a pleasure having you on the show, by the way. But now we are entering our I guess I'm gonna call it the last five.
Okay.
I don't know. I need to come up with a name for it, but those are gonna be 5 questions. Give me as much as you can for those, but I hope that's gonna be impacting for the people. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Awesome. The first question: what's your $1 million advice?
$1 million advice is always go with things that are going to give you the best time in your life. You can't make up time, right? So I think that if you can time hack, if you can figure out how to get the most out of every day in life, you're going to live a full life. Don't chase money. I know you said $1 million, right? But don't chase the money. You can attract it by chasing the things that are making an impact on you, on people in your world, on your family. If you can find a way to do that, I am a firm believer it'll always come back. It's like the giftology. It's the same philosophy. If you're always leading from that lens, from how can I give into my family? How can I give into my job or give into my business? The money's going to come. So just don't chase it. The people who chase it, you can probably find a million examples, have always failed.
Yeah. And that kind of, when you started talking about that, it brings me back to something that I've learned from Myron recently. It's about time traveling.
I wish.
Like a lot of people just, and the way that he puts it together was so well put. It's not like time traveling, but it's like there's like 3 different ways. If you were going from coast to coast, you can either jump on a like old timer like horses and go from there to here, or you can drive, or you can take an airplane. One of them is going to take you 6 months to get here. Another one is going to take you maybe 2 days. I don't know.
Probably like 5 days.
5 days. Will take you 5 days. And then the other one is going to take you
5 hours.
5 hours.
Yeah.
His whole point about that is to utilizing the medium that gives you your time back, because like a lot of people, they're trying to focus on the cheapest or the other things that kind of will take them the longest to achieve what they're trying to achieve instead of like using it another tool
Yeah.
that might be getting them faster. The time travel portion of that is like now, if you use the airplane to get to your destination, now you have like another 5 months,
Yeah.
three, I don't know,
To accomplish
to
whatever.
accomplish
Yeah.
whatever you needed to get done over there in case. And then if you take the horse, now you only have like hours, like, when you get there. So that was a very smart way that he put that. I was extremely valuable. So thank you for sharing
It's
that.
funny. I'll say that one of the things about why I left, Fund and Grow had to do with I needed to work from home, right? It became very prevalent that would be the best thing for my family situation. And it's so interesting to think just the time I save from getting ready and driving to work and then driving home is incredible. But also, I found that I'm just so much more productive at home that I get way more done in less time. And so I actually can buy back time. I can buy back the ability to do things. And so I think that to me is winning way more than what's in my bank account. I just feel like people are missing the boat on why are we here? Not to get truly crazy about it, but like why are we here? You're only getting, well, allegedly only getting one life. I guess we'll all see when it all ends. But my point is, you're only getting one life. You're only getting this life once. And so why do you want to spend it, you know, not making decisions? Why do you want to spend it on a horse buggy on the way over? But why do you want to spend it doing that? Buy back all of it. Get as much time back as you can and spend it in the way that's going to make you happy, that's going to fulfill you.
Yeah. I guess that's not part of the five,
Yeah,
but I'll add it to it. But how do you balance business in your personal life?
you don't. I don't believe in work life balance. I think that that is a myth. There's not enough hours in the day. Like it just isn't a thing. I think that there has to be true work life integration. You have to be able to find a work, a business, a job, whatever, a work life that complements your personal life and what your goals are. And I think that is way more important than trying to balance anything. You can't balance. It's like me trying to balance my time between 5 kids. That's not a thing. I have to find creative ways to make sure everybody feels loved equally. It's not a balance. It's usually integrating them into different activities together so I don't have to share it. So, it's not a thing. Balance isn't real.
Love it. So now question number 2. If you lost everything today, how would you rebuild?
Super easy for me because I've spent so much time investing in my network and my relationships. And it just happened to me. I don't know if everybody knows this in my world, but like I was fired. I was fired from a job, which was a blessing in hindsight, right? It just wasn't a good alignment. It wasn't a great situation. It was not Fund and Grow, to be very clear. And so I found myself in that exact situation. And it was my circle, it was my relationships that showed up in a way that I have never felt more lifted up in a professional world. I'm going to cry if I think about it too much. There were so many people that reached out to say, how can I help you? Who can I connect you with? Within 2 days, I had my entire next week just filled with interviews, filled with opportunities. And it was an amazing experience. And I literally technically lost it. I lost it. I lost my job. I lost the income, lost all of it. But within 2 days, because I had spent so much time building relationships, that it was super easy. It made it up. And here I am. It was fantastic.
Relationship is key.
It is.
Awesome. Third one, what was your hardest lesson that you've learned that is really shaping you today?
Yeah. Staying in a situation too long. Staying in, and that was obviously, it was my previous marriage, but staying in a situation too long that was hurting me and harming me in ways I didn't really realize it was until I got out, obviously. The obvious reasons were there, but and it's true in anything you do. So if you are in a bad situation, personal, work, whatever, if your business is crumbling around you, sometimes you just got to let go. To be cliche, let go and let God, right? Like you have to get out of the situations. And so that was the hardest lesson is I lost time that I cannot get back. And who knows what else, but I lost time by not leaving the situation sooner.
Yeah. Next one. What is one thing that you wish coaches knew sooner?
Oh, there's so many coaches. There's so many things. I think it's making sure you're always authentic and that you're truly an expert at what you're coaching. But more importantly, again, it's my thing. Don't chase the money. Don't chase money. Chase, why are you a coach? You're a coach because you love to teach. That should be why you're a coach, right? You became an expert at something and now you're like, man, I just want to teach this. I want to impact the world with what I know. I want to impact the world with bringing the Miami Hurricanes to a college football championship, which is, I'm just putting that out there. I'm going to go ahead and track that into the world right now. But I want to do these things. So do it for that and always lead with that and stop focusing on the revenue. If you're doing it for revenue solely, you're probably going to fail, because when you chase money, you're just constantly chasing it. It will never come unless you are finding ways to attract it through what you are doing, what you're building, and what you're impacting.
I guess a follow-up question to that: how do you attract money?
I truly believe relationships will always bring you money, but it has to be the right relationship, it has to be good relationships, right? But I think it's the way you attract money is by chasing impact and the things that passion you, or that you're passionate about. Well, I can't speak. Things you're passionate about, the things that fill up your cup. And I truly believe the money will always follow. It always has for me. I was at one point a single mom, and, I didn't know always where the paycheck was going to stretch to and work out, but I always just led from what was important, what mattered, what was making me happy, what was making the kids happy. I never, ever found myself with $0. And so I think that the problem is people put a goal number on it. And so when you're chasing a number goal instead of an impact goal, then it is just going to always just be a chase. It just never ends. It's an ongoing circle. If you chase an impact goal, it's a lot easier to level up that impact goal, and the money's always coming. It's always coming no matter what. So my philosophy is that if you chase it, it's always going to be a chase. You're never going to get where you need to be. But if you just follow your heart and what you're doing, it's going to lead to one way, right? It always is. I took a job, got fired, but it landed me right where I needed to be. Mm-hmm. So, and it was never about the money. It was never about the salary. It was about what was I doing and was it making me happy?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna probably butcher it, but something Myron Golden say is like, if you focus on value, there's no reason why you won't be successful.
100%.
If you focus on money, you might lose all of it. But if you truly focus on providing value to other people and actually providing value to other people, there's no reason why you can't be successful.
That's 100% true, because you know what? Everybody's value of money is different. Everybody's goals of what they're doing is different. Every student that comes to a coach doesn't have the same exact story. And so if you're just leading from how do I get you to where you want to be, I'm going to get where I need to be at that point. Mm-hmm. It's that same Giftology is one of the best books I think that is ever written, because it truly shows you what can happen if you just come from that place of giving.
Yeah. I'm adding another question. What are some of your favorite books that you have learned?
Ooh.
I'm going to rephrase that. Now you have learned. What are some of your favorite book that you have read that has had the biggest and tremendous impact on your life?
Mine are so cliche. I'm telling you, right? It's are like easy ones, right? The book that had the biggest change of my mind shift was two of them, and it was from college. And it was Who Moved My Cheese and 1 Minute Manager. Now, 1 Minute Manager kind of got rewritten because, to be politically correct and the whole thing, because it was like about like giving a literal tap on the shoulder or a tap on the back. Right now, sometimes you can't do that. So, but those two books led to me understanding about the constant need to adjust and pivot and change in the business environment, and being able to understand the landscape of business. And I was very fortunate. I had an amazing professor who had us read it and do the activities with it. And then 1 Minute Manager, it changed who I was and understanding me, and like, people care about money. As an employee, you have to pay your employees, right? They need money to survive. But what do they care about just as much, or maybe more, is being heard, being appreciated, being part of the conversation. And so 1 Minute Manager is a really nice way to show you how to lead very easy, like common sense things people don't understand, or I guess maybe not so common, is, when someone does something amazing, praise them right then. Don't wait to their one on one or their employee review. Praise them in the moment. And if it's a good thing, praise them in public. Show the other employees that work for you, or show the world something amazing they did. And when they do something that's maybe not to your standards, or not to what should be done, or not following an SOP, you need to, I hate the word reprimand, but you need to reprimand them immediately in private. Make sure they know, because if you're not telling your employees what they're doing wrong, how can you expect them to excel and succeed? So that book, and it's such an easy, both of those are very short, easy reads, but they made the most impact 100%. And I still reference them to this day. And I'm not going to date myself too much, but I mean, I read those books at least 20 something years ago.
Yeah.
And still to this day. And like, there's so many books out there. Giftology would be number 3. It 100% changed my life and made me understand why I thought the way I did. But those are the most impactful for me. And again, I read them in my early 20s.
Love it. Fantastic. As we're nearing, I'm going to skip some other questions that I have, but as we're nearing the end of the talk show, for people that might be interested in learning more about driven,
Yeah.
to connect with you, to learn how they can potentially become affiliates,
Yeah.
with you and Tiffany and Josh, how can they get a hold of you?
So first of all, I welcome anyone to follow me on social media. My handle is from when I worked at Fund and Grow, but it's Amanda Webster COO on all the platforms. So if you want to find me there, I am very open and transparent. I let anybody connect with me. I want to give as much impact as possible. Results driven itself, I would encourage. They have an amazing front end offer. It's $27. It's called the Business Accelerator. For $27, guys, spend the money. Go to the website, resultsdrivenrei.com, and do the course, because it's such for most of us have $27, but it can provide you with so many tips and tricks and inside things inside Tiff's brain and Josh's brain. And they do the 4 calls that you get. It's a 4-week training live. These are not evergreen. They are live calls every single week that you get to experience here. And see if the community aligns with you. Because I don't want people just to reach out to me because it has a big community and they can make some money, right? I want you to understand who Josh and Tiff are, who Results Driven is, and does it align with what you're working on? Do that for me first. Do $27, go through the offer and see what it is. They also have a 2-day live event every month that's actually happening right now as we're speaking, up in Ohio. And it's also relatively inexpensive for the value that you're getting. So I would definitely go do that before you ever reach out to me.
Yeah, absolutely. For anybody that may be watching this that do not know anything about Tiffany, Josh, you,
Yeah.
or Result Driven or their other real estate company, can you give me a quick elevator speech about the services or the offers that you guys do?
Yeah. So Josh and Tiff Josh is an engineer by trade, went to college, engineer by trade, totally engineer brain. Love it though. It's amazing. I love engineers when it comes to how they think. And Tiffany actually worked in like big, high level organizations in the corporate world first, but they started an investment company to be real estate investors out of Columbus, Ohio. It's called Heels Homes, still around today, but I won't give all the details, but basically they went in and Tiff thought, oh, I can just build this just like the corporate world. She was wrong. She definitely had to shut it down. I think you might have heard some of this story in Nashville. She had to completely shut it down. It was a very, very hard time, dark time in her life, and had to fire everybody except for like, I think 1 or 2 people and rebuild it from scratch and rebuild it the right way. They invest in Columbus, Ohio and Toledo, and they do 250 deals a year. They are operating at a ridiculous, insane level as a real estate investing firm. But what they figured out was how to systemize and make processes and understand what actually works and run a super lean team. So they basically took everything they learned, lessons, bad, good, and indifferent, and built an education company so that you can actually take their exact model. They invite you, come out to the 2-day, they take you into the office and actually get to see behind the scenes of how Heels Homes works. Like they pull back the curtain and show you how to become a real estate investor successfully. Now, They don't work with brand new newbies, so they want people that are actually operating. But if you're a one man shop, this is the way you get from doing 10 deals a year to doing 30 deals a year. And so they can actually say, we know what we're talking about. We're living and breathing it and still operating at this level right now. Josh runs Heels Homes every day in that office, deep into it. Tiffany runs the results driven side, and she is very meticulous on how it's ran. It is everything is her and her way she loves to think about things. She is an amazing person when you get to know her. But she is super, super dialed in and
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to sit in a couple presentation that they've made. One of them was a private call from Coaching Inc. that both of them presented on, and then the other one was a follow up in Nashville at Coaching Inc. And those presentations were like amazing,
Yeah.
like fantastic. So and I know they were starting something new with that specifically. But if you are really interested in growing your business and growing your team, and learning about the systems and processes that they've actually used to grow their
Yeah.
business, I would highly encourage you to go to resultdrivenrei.com
Yep.
to take that first step.
Yeah.
Um, they, from what I have learned from them and from the time that I had to spend with them, they're like very big givers.
Yes.
And um, from those two presentations, learned so much. So I'm sure that all the stuff that you're going to be finding on there will be extremely valuable.
Oh yeah.
So
It's
um,
overfulfilled is an understatement on what they provide. They
yeah,
are they are givers more than I ever knew. Now that I'm on the inside, it's phenomenal.
yeah, it's awesome. Um, yeah, so if you are interested in learning more,
Yeah.
go to Amanda Webster COO on all
Yes,
platforms to
sir.
be able to find that.
Yes.
Um, but before we close out this, and I want to ask you that question. We didn't talk at all about your husband being deployed or deploying.
Yeah.
Um, what advice would you give to anybody in your shoes right now as the spouse of a military? Um, how to, obviously, if they are running a business or doing all of that, how do you do it?
It's so funny because it wasn't until the last deployment that he went on that I realized this, but it is literally running a household like running a business, right? So I we have 5 kids. He leaves very soon. We only have a few more weeks before he is leaving for pretty much all of next year. And I think it's schedule blocking, organizing everything. We have one of those refrigerators with the tablet within the refrigerator. And so literally the family calendar is there. Who has what going on at any given time, what activities we're doing, everything is scheduled and then the other thing is finding your tribe. I'm super fortunate that my parents live 10 minutes down the road, super involved. My dad's retired, my mom's semi-retired, so they have a lot of availability for us. But I've had friends turn into nannies. Luckily I have found an amazing tribe who will check in on me, make me go out to dinner, because I will tell you, when you're a military spouse and your spouse is gone, you're so engrossed in the family that you forget you need a moment. You need to go get your nails done. You need to get your hair done. You need to go out and, have a dinner with a friend. And so I think that it's, time blocking and scheduling is how I get all of it done. The one thing that most people know who know me know that I despise cooking. It's just not my thing. I am definitely not the one that does that. He cooks all of our meals. So that is my biggest obstacle every time he leaves, even if it's only for a few weeks. This time it'll be longer. Is how am I going to make dinner every night? I'm not gonna lie, that is like my biggest concern every day. And so luckily, ChatGPT is a thing now. So I have learned I can feed all the recipes into my chat and I can say, give me a schedule for the whole month and then give me my shopping list for the week for each one. And it can do it for me. This is new. This wasn't around when he left the last time. I mean, it might have been in the infancy, but I didn't know it. So I think this will be a little bit easier. But scheduling and making sure you take time for yourself as the spouse, whether it's the man or the woman, it doesn't matter. You have to take some time for yourself, because otherwise you're literally taking care of your kids, working, sleeping, and that's it.
Yeah. And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah. And super grateful for all of our military friends and spouses. equally as important as well. So, Amanda, it was such a pleasure having you on the show today. It was great. Learned a ton from you. All the I guess I'm gonna ask you that question as we closed. How do you make collaboration your superpower?
Is you make it a priority to actually create true or like organic relationships that are collaborations and always looking to continue and grow that. I think once you do that, it has to kind of become natural. If it's not, work at it, right? We can usually train ourselves to do anything. So I think that's how it's become my superpower is I actually made it a priority. I actually made it a everyday idea of like I need to follow up with one person every day. I need to check in with somebody every single day to make sure they're good, they don't need anything. How's the family? How's everything going? We have mutual friends I do this to all the time. And so I think that if you just make it a focal point of your just daily existence and becomes kind of a habit, then it turns into a superpower because if you really try it and really work at it like anything else, you can become an expert at it.
Awesome. Well, such a pleasure having you in the show, Amanda. That was it. Good job. There you have it. Follow her and Amanda Webster, COO.com, or go to resultdrivenrei.com to get connected with her, Tiffany, and Josh. There you have it. It's fire, baby. Let's go.